Hi, welcome back. So we are at the last outline of this section to discuss queues. There are three different types of queues we'll be looking at from Python perspective and in general aspect of object-oriented programming. First type of queue called the FIFO queue, the second called the LIFO, and lastly we'll be discussing priority queues. Let's start with the first type of queue. Now, FIFO stands from first in, first out, and it represents the most commonly understood definition, depends on the word as it implies. Example, imagine a line of people standing in line at a bank or a cash register. So the first person to enter the line gets served first. So this is the aspiration of the name itself. Now, the queue class is a good choice when you don't need to access any data inside the data structure. In other words, you will just be dealing with the first entry or maybe the last entry, as we will see in a while. Now, the primary methods are put and get, which add element to the back or the beginning of the line, and retrieve them also from the front or in order. Let's take actually an example where we're going to be using these three types in practical way. So to start using the queue in Python, first of all, we have to, from queue module, we are going to import queues. Now let's define here a variable called line queue, which is equal to queue. And here I am a prompt to enter a maximum size, which implies, of course, how many member is going to be associated with this particular queue. Let's assume 3, for example. Imagine I'm trying to reach out to the queue and I'm using get. There is an argument called the block that either be true or false. And this argument, if you read the documentation, it implies if the error should be raised or not. So what I'm going to do, I will put the block to equal false first, and let's see what the result would look like. So let's go ahead and run this. As you can see here, I've got this raising error, which called queue.empty. Of course, we didn't add any element. That's why I get this raising error. Let me try to put the block to true and run this one more time and see what the result would look like. So here you can see the system had hang. So to avoid that kind of hangout, we need to make sure the block is going to be false. So we're going to print here if actually the line queue is empty or not. So this works as a method rather than a property. Now let's try now to put some values inside this line queue. So I could just go to line queue and then I'll use put. And here are any values that I'm interested in. Let's put 1 and let's put 2, 3. So there are 3 different items has been added to the queue. And if I want to again print, let's see which item is going to be popped up first from the queue. Of course, it's going to be 1 because it was the first to enter. If I want to see it is full or not, yes, true, it is full because there are 3 of this item. If, by the way, I attempt here to add 1 more item, so it's going to hang out because the size is 1, unless I try to pop up another items and then I leave a space. Here, I'm going to put with another argument called timeout1. So in 1 second, it's going to try to wait instead of keep waiting until the queue is available. I'm going to just give it 1 second to make sure if it is not, it's going to be raising an error. See what the result is going to wait 1 second and he say it is full. That's why timeout is just to make sure the terminal will not hang waiting for the queue to be empty. So this was all about the first in, first out. Now, the second type we're going to be talking about is the LIFO, or last in, first out. As the name implies, of course, is equal that the last element entered to the queue is going to be the first to leave. From other programming perspective, you can have a name as a stack. I try to show you a practical example. Again, we're going to, from queue, we're going to import. Now, here's specific class of that case called the last in, first out queue. I have also provided with the maximum just like we did before. Now let's add some items. Let's print actually the stack.get. Once again, it's going to be 2. Why? Because this is the last element added. The rest actually remaining the same. You can enjoy the same exact functions and properties method that first in, first out is doing. Now the last type to discuss about priority queues. From queue, let's import the priority queue. So once we import this priority queue, let's create a variable and instantiate from this class priority queue. And I'm going to do the exact same thing using the put, but this time I'm going to use while, not heap.empty. I want just to make sure. Let's print inside the heap using the get. Let's run this and see what the result would look like, exactly as expected. So we got 1, 3, and 4. 1, 3, and 4. So look at the order here because the priority has been given. So we have come to the end of this section. I'm gonna close everything with a practical case study that perhaps can put some of those structure into a practical example. I will see you then.